Alright guys, it's been a while since I did a video. I've been working on that BMW over there and had to travel a little bit for work, so just got back in town today. I'm going to start on this one. Got backed into in a parking lot. It was actually hit and run until they tracked down the owner of the other car. Somebody got his tag number, I believe. We're able to find out who it was, and that person actually offered to pay for it. So going to be replacing the rear bumper. There's just no point in trying to straighten it, and it actually had some other damage over here on this side, I think, when he purchased the truck. So we're just going to put a new bumper on it and repair this dent. Should be a lot of access back behind there to that. If not, I'll use some studs. Just initially feeling back there, it might be covered up, but I might be able to get a pry bar in here and some paintless dent repair tools and push it out most of the way. We'll see though. But first thing I'm going to do is get this bumper off and out of my way. And I may end up taking the tailgate off, we'll see. May not have to. But I want to test fit the new bumper to make sure it fits before I work on doing this. That way when I get it back off after I test fit it, I can prep it for paint and also the bed, and I know it'll go right back in. I don't have to worry about trying to fit it around fresh paint. If I don't have it pre-fit already, then I'll have a problem there. Rest of it's good. Just that dent there. We'll just be doing a spot repair here and blending the whole panel just to make sure it's nice and covered up. I don't want to leave any kind of a burn-in or anything up here. This is going to get replaced, and I'll pull this out. Also take the wheel arch molding off, and I'll have to at least pull the bed liner up. I may not have to take it out, but I got to get it up off the bed. And there are some scratches here, so I may end up having to just color this back edge and just blend over this way. I'm not going to color the whole thing, so I don't have to worry about the match up here. So first thing is going to be to get all the trim off and take the bumper first and get all the trim out of the way and focus on getting that repaired, because it needs to be primed as soon as possible so it can sit here and cure while I work on prepping the rest of it. And then I'll get the bumper prepped, paint it. When I paint the truck, I'll just have it over here on a rack or something. I'm going to go ahead and get this bumper off and then the rest of the trim, and I'll be right back when that's done. Before I get into taking all this off, I'm making sure I got the right bumper. From what I can tell, looks right. This is actually a black powder coated bumper. It's kind of it's aftermarket, but it's like a kit. So what I'm going to do is have to just take the step pad off. If I can transfer the original one onto this one, I probably will. This one may be in better shape, but the other one's, being original Toyota, might be better to put it on. We'll just let the owner keep this one if he wants it, in case something happens to his original one. But I'm going to have to take some of the texture out of the powder coat just so the paint lays down nice and flat. But I think there's enough there that I can just flatten it and not have to prime it. I will seal it before I paint it, but I shouldn't have to put any primer on it to get the surface level. I think there's enough material there already. And this is the box it came in, and I got a new set of mounting brackets with it, which we should not need. And I think if I can take it off on this end of the bracket in the back and just leave the bracket on the truck, we'll do that. That way that can just stay there, since I'm not going to replace it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and get the bumper off now. Then I'll move into getting the tail light out and wheel arch and flap and all that. Alright, I'm down to taking the decal off, got the fender flare off, and the mud flap down there. I'm going to leave this here so that when I clear this panel, this will have the same texture and gloss level on it. And I'll just put some foam tape around in here just to seal it off so I don't get any paint and clear all over the plastic. I'm going to wash this thing really well and even brush back behind here. Get it nice and clean so when I go to back mask it in here with the tape, it'll stick. I'm going to run this off with an eraser wheel so that when I get ready to do the primer, it'll be out of my way, because I'm going to have primer out in that area. Got the tail light connector here wrapped in a plastic bag, and I've got it facing up so when I wash the truck, water will run down the bag and just off the tape here, and I get into the connector. I'm going to get this cleaned up, close the tailgate, and fit the new bumper right here to the truck so that when I go ahead and take it back off to paint it, I'll know I won't have to worry about alignment later and having to mod anything or it getting scratched. So got the pad off, This one says Toyota on it on each end, if you can see that. And this aftermarket one did not, so I'm definitely going to reuse that, and I'll just give him the other pad if he wants it. But it's pretty good quality bumper, looks like. Comes with the heavy gauged reinforcement at the bottom, full hardware kit and everything. So just going to use what I need out of the kit. Came with new license plate lamps, grommets, screws, everything, bolts. But reuse this. May reuse the original lights. I like to keep the original parts in there if I can. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this cleaned up, get that bumper to fit. Then I'll pull this out here and wash everything and let it sit in the sun and dry for a minute, then we'll start the body work. Alright, it's ready to start the body work. I've got the two dented areas marked to where the actual damage is. I'm going to try to stay within here with the grinder. I definitely don't want to go outside this. But for now, I'm just going to grind out where the creases are, put some pins. I can get onto this one maybe from the back side, but this one over here, there's a structure right behind it. And I might be able to pry against this right here and just protect this while I push this back out. But I'm still going to have to grind the finish off for the filler. I may start with something inside here to pry it out where I can still see this reflection to see where I've gone. But I'm definitely going to have to grind it off anyway. And the paint's broken right here. So doing a full PDR on this would still have to be repainted. So I'll work out what I can from the back side, and we'll just have to put a few studs here and there. But for now, I've got it washed and it's dry now. Wiped all this area off with lacquer thinner, just to make sure I don't have any road tar or anything under here that I'm going to grind into the steel. I took the decal off. I don't know if I showed you that, but I stripped that off with the stripe off wheel and just wiped that down with thinner to get the residue off. I'm going to go ahead and grind all this out after I work out what I can, and we'll start on pulling some studs. Alright, I've got it all ground off. I'm just going to start in the back here, since these are more of just a linear crease in each spot. I'm just going to go ahead and pull these out. I've repaired this stud buddy. I don't know if I've shown you since it broke on me that time. I just ground it down and re-welded it right there where it broke. Seems to be okay now. It's been working at least. But I'm going to use the stud buddy on here and just pull these out. I may have to go to the slide hammer on some of these, but I have to bend these over as I go so I can get one right next to the other. So I'll just have to pull these back out, get them straight, and I'll start pulling these from the outside to the middle. Start out here, work my way in, so that I don't pull a high spot in the center and all this stay inside around it, or stay in around it. Same thing down here. I'm just going to start on top and bottom. And right in here I'm going to have to add some, but I'm going to go ahead and try to get the crease out first, and I'll pull this spot up. And I'll put some over here just in the areas where it's needed. It's a little straight in this direction, so I may start that way, but I definitely need to go from the outside in. I'm going to go ahead and pull on these, and I'll be back when this is ready for some filler. Alright, metal work is done. I'm just going to sand all this out around the repairs with 80 grit and feathered out into the steel, way past where I want the body filler to be. So that the body filler will go directly on 80 grit, and I won't have it over any paint. I'll get 80 grit in here around these, and then after I do the filler, I'll end up feathering this out with 180 and then to 400 to get ready for primer. But I'm going to put on some of the fiberglass stranded filler, or either the Everglass. I don't really have any holes, so the Everglass might be fine here, just to give me a nice firm base. And I'll get that really close and do hopefully one application of the Quantum 1 regular body filler. We'll go ahead and get this sanded out and get some filler on this so it can be setting up. Alright, I've got it prepped for the fiberglass filler. Now there was a little bit of a straight area right in here, but there's no reason to leave feathered paint right there, so I just took all of it off in between the dents. And all of this in this entire area, all the way down. I didn't go all the way to the very edge, but I'm about an inch off that back edge with taking the paint off, just so that this area doesn't get any excessive film build from the paint that's unnecessary. So this will be completely down to the metal. I'll have filler in here, a little back here, and this whole area will get epoxied, and then 3 coats of high build urethane. The But like I said, there's no reason to leave any feathered paint right between these dents. Just take it all the way off. That way you don't have anything that can map later on, show. So once I get the fiberglass on here, I'm gonna let that sit up for a couple hours. I've got to go run some errands, pick up some paint. And when I come back, I'll sand all this through and then get the regular filler on it. And after that's hard and I get it all blocked and straight, I'll take this feather edge here and pull it out another couple inches with 180, just to get all this 80 grit out. And I want to step this back. Ideally, you want to have about a ½ inch of each layer showing, if you can stretch it that far. Sometimes with the paint's like this, it's pretty thin, it's hard to do, but I'll try to take that out and taper it as much as I can. Then I'll have to come in here with probably 400 on a soft pad just to get some of this scuffed, since my primer will be out into here. And I've also got to take this off where the bed liner's been rubbing it, take that rust off, and then take these scratches out. But I don't need any filler up there, so I'm going to just go ahead and get my filler done here. And then when I get ready to finish the filler out with the 180, I'll just come up here with a nice fresh piece of 180, cut all this down. May have to go back to 80 for a minute on that, but this can all just finish out in 180 to go through to the metal, and then I'll put some 400 grit in that and feather it out too, and I'll prime the top edge and this bottom, or the top corner and bottom corner. But I'm not going to prime all across here. I don't really need that, so I can feather this in just into here, have a feather edge, and then into here, and then I'll have to prep the rest of the panel with 1000 grit for a blend. I'll be back when I get ready to put this on. I may just be able to show you after it's put on. I gotta get out of here real quick in a minute here, so we'll go ahead and get this on before I leave. I'll come back to sand it and I'll show you that. Alright, we're ready for epoxy. Just did a wipe down with Final Clean. Got this feathered out with 400 all through here, and put epoxy over this bare metal. And this right here, I'm just going to shoot this whole area, and just the bare metal up there. I'm actually working on this other one right here at the same time. I'm just going to do them together. This will be in a separate video, but I'm going to go ahead and do them since they're here at the same time. Mix the paint up one time. Be back just 1 second. I got to get it in the gun. Alright, I only gave this about 45 minutes. It's an hour wait at 70 to 80, and it's about 89 right now, so I went ahead and mixed up the primer. I'm only going to put primer over where I've got the epoxy. I'm not going to prime the whole back end of the panel. I'm just going to show you this first coat. The other two coats will be the exact same. Alright, after I get through with the third coat, I'll throw some of the black guide coat on it just for sanding it. And then I'll probably sand that out tomorrow. I'll give it about full 24 hours or so. Alright, I just set the bumper on here. I want to go ahead and get the primer on it, get the bodywork done in the primer on so it can be cured as long as possible. Bumper fit perfect. Bolts dropped right in. I just got the bolts started in the holes just to know I can get it aligned. Just not even finger tight, just thumbed them into the holes to where I got 3 or 4 threads engaged. I did find a little low spot in it right here. I went ahead and just filled that while I had the primer out. So I'll need to feather this area. It's got guide coat on it, you can see this. I need to feather that out, sand this when I sand the rest of it. There's 2 bolts. There were actually 2 bolts in the bumper here I had to remove for these aftermarket bolts that went into the hitch. All that lined up too, so I'm going to take those 6 bolts back out, pull it off. Now I know that I won't have to modify anything after it's painted. Next thing is going to be to just block all this out, sand the bumper down, and shoot it off. Okay, I went ahead and pulled the bumper back off. I took a red Scotch-Brite, went across the top, since that's going to be covered. It'll give me good adhesion there. Took that same red pad, went inside here to this body seam, all around the bottom, all underneath here, and then I actually used it on the face of the panel right here, all the way up toward this fender flare mount, since that's going to be behind it. So now I'm going to take the 1000 grit 6-inch DA, go all over the open areas, and that'll take all these straight line scratches out from the pad I ran through here actually with it too, and around the edge of this door, and then on the inside edge of this. So I'm going to go across the open areas with this. That'll take all these straight line scratches out back here that I put in with the scuff pad. You can see those, because I don't want my metallic flake landing in a straight line scratch like that. I'll put this DA scratch in it, and I'll also put on some adhesion promoter that'll actually fill in those scratches that's left with the 1000. And I'm doing this now while the primer's curing, so that way this will be done when I get ready with to do this. Then all I'll have to do is feather this into that, and maybe run my 400 grit a little bit further back into this 1000, and it'll be ready to go. We'll have to do this with the 1000 after that. I'm going to do this dry anyway, so I don't want the panel to be wet, so it makes sense to do it now while it's curing. And as soon as this is sanded, I'll move on to the bumper, and so that way tomorrow all I have left is that, and be ready to mask it off and paint it. So it'd actually be a 3-day job here if I had time to do it, but I'm not going to be able to get ready to paint it, I don't think. But I'll come back when I'm ready to paint this.